How's it going, everyone? Nerd Person Shooter here. So last month I had another month of Game Pass that I bought basically to do a gameplay preservation on Anthem. I did not miss that game, but I wanted to do a gameplay preservation before they took it off the Game Pass service. It's still online, but you have to own it in order to play it, which I don't. So that video will be up on January 2nd. That'll be my first 2026 video. It will be my gameplay preservation of Anthem, which I am confident that no one will watch because no one will miss it. But after that time, I was able to play a few other games that came out this year, or compilations of games that came out this year. Gears of War Reloaded, I just beat the campaign. I own Gears of War Reloaded, so I don't have Game Pass anymore. I haven't had Game Pass since like I started playing RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business. But because I had played Gears of War Ultimate Edition, they decided to give me Reloaded for free. I know they mainly released it for PS5 players. I'm not sure why Microsoft thinks it's a good idea to basically give all their IPs away. Because Forza Horizon 5 is on PS5 now too. Indiana Jones is on PS5 now too. What next? Halo? Is making it very hard for people to want to buy an Xbox Series, okay, when you're taking away your exclusives like that. And PS5 too, you can play almost every Sony exclusive now on PC. Anyway, I'll talk about Gears of War Reloaded last because that's the one I played last. So I'm gonna do this in at least chronological order of release. I'll do these. Starting with my favorite indie game of the year, Blueprints. This is a game that I honestly thought I wouldn't love because first off, it's a puzzle game, which I am very impatient when it comes to puzzle games. Or roguelikes. I generally try to stay away from roguelikes because they're way too time consuming and a lot of RNG based stuff. And even though maybe I would have loved this game even more, maybe this would have been one of my favorite games of all time if it wasn't a roguelike, if it was just like an environmental puzzle game, kind of like something like Myst, like a really mystery puzzle game without the roguelike. But the more I played Blueprints, the harder it was for me to put down. Blueprints is about a young boy, 14 years old, who inherits a giant mansion from someone who had just died. Was it his great? I think it was his like great uncle or something. I could be mistaken, but basically every end game day you have to draft different rooms in order to reach the hidden, super mysterious room 46. The mansion has 45 rooms. It is 5 rows by 10 columns. And you have to basically connect the appropriate rooms with rooms that connect to the right, to the left. You have rooms that intersect left and right, and you have occasionally four-sided rooms with four doors, one door on each side, 4 doors total. And there are different benefits and penalties for certain rooms, like red rooms are penalties where you can lose steps, which basically every time you enter or re-enter a room, you lose a step. And if you run out of steps, you have to rest for the rest of the day. Like you can't continue. There are also dead end rooms, which are sometimes beneficial that they have keys or keys to unlock doors, locked doors later on, or gems, which can be used to buy stuff at shops to help your runs. So there's a lot of strategy involved too. I say it's a puzzle game because there are puzzles. There are environmental puzzles here and there. Blueprints is a game that on the surface it doesn't look like it has a lot. But the more you dig into its lore its context, its narrative. The environmental puzzles were like almost everything could be a clue. You really have to like remember things, and it is really cerebral, and it didn't really discourage me. Blueprints is a very unique game. It is such I've never really played anything quite like it. It has amazing music, kind of relaxing but also depressing ambient music. I love the way the story is handled within like notes. The story is told in notes. There are a few cutscenes in it too, and there's no combat or anything. There's no enemies, but it's just it's a game where you explore and unravel secrets, and it doesn't just end in the mansion. Like once you reach room 46, which by the way, in order to reach room 46, you actually have to backtrack to the foundation to go to the basement, use the basement key, and then do a whole bunch of other puzzles, like this giant gear puzzle and stuff. And you got to activate the antechamber door and then go back to room 46. And then you beat the initial objective of the game. Technically you beat the game at that point, but there is so much more to do in Blueprints after you do that. That's basically like the tutorial of the game, and it took me like 20 hours just to do that. I didn't get to room 46 until I was at day 69. 69, dudes! Quite a few of those days I kind of went impatient and was like, oh, I already fucked up. I'm just gonna forfeit the day and just restart. So I probably could have beaten it a little sooner, or at least within a within shorter day span. But I just kept going. After the credits rolled, I just kept freaking playing. I wanted to explore every little mystery and just solve every little puzzle, which I haven't done everything yet. I have played this game for well over 50 hours, and I still haven't uncovered everything. There's still like this tomb area, this catacombs that I still haven't figured out how to like get to, and I want to do that. And Blueprints is such an engrossing, just mystery adventure game that is great all around. I will say that the RNG, like I said before, this could have been like a 10 out of 10 if it was a shorter, more, linear puzzle experience. But then again, it would severely lack in replay value if it did that. But like most roguelikes, I still despise RNG. There is some skill and strategy related, but a lot of it does still come down to luck, which selection of rooms you get. You can also re-roll them by finding dice. There's this observatory that gives you benefits, and it gives you more and more benefits the more at every time you visit the observatory on different days. So it does get slightly easier. It gives you more benefits and stuff. There's just a lot to this game. Like there is an insane amount. It is among the deepest, maybe even the deepest puzzle game I have ever played in my life. It is the best puzzle game I have ever played since Portal 2. That's a high bar right there. I mean, Portal 2 is one of the best games ever made, and Blueprints is right up there for me. It's easily one of my favorite games of the year. I know that I'm missing some things. I'm missing a lot of aspects about it, but maybe it's also one of those games where the less I talk about it and the more I tell you to try Blueprints, maybe it's better for you if you don't know a lot of things. It's better if I don't spoil a lot of things. But it's just a really unique and incredible journey all around. I would give Blueprints a easily a 9 out of 10. Like out of all the games that I'm gonna talk about today, Blueprints is definitely by far my favorite, actually. And yeah, and when I get more Game Pass, I'm probably gonna hop back on Blueprints. I'm also gonna hop back on Balatro. Yeah, I played about 20 to 25 hours of Balatro during my last few days of having Game Pass, and that too is pretty addictive. It's a poker roguelike deck building game. And that one I don't love nearly as much as Blueprints, but Balatro is still damn good. If I had played this game last year, it probably would have replaced Black Ops 7 as my 10th favorite game of 2024. Sorry, Call of Duty, but I think Balatro's a little bit better. Anyway, yeah, those were the two roguelike games that I played last month. Now, the second game is not really a game, but more so a collection of retro games. It is Xbox's own Retro Classics. I love compilations of old school games. You know, one like my favorite compilation of all time, believe it or not, is not the Orange Box. It is actually Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection that includes like 40 different Genesis games at least, maybe even closer to 50 if you include like the hidden Master System games. I've played all sorts, you know. I've played so many compilations, especially on PS2, Midway Arcade Treasures, Capcom Classics Collection, and stuff like that. I fucking love compilations. So when I learned of this, that Xbox is creating their own like retro thing that has mostly consists of like Atari 2700 games, which in my opinion is not quite as good as like NES or, you know, Super Nintendo or Genesis, but still a good throwback. I decided to try that. So I did for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then I stopped. And there's a big reason for why I stopped. It's because you cannot play any of these games natively on your console, or probably not even on your PC. Retro Classics is a hub. It is a 300 megabyte hub, and when you get into a game, you're playing it on their cloud service. It has its own little cloud service, and I live in rural bumfuck middle of nowhere New Hampshire. So I am not known for having good online. If you look at any of my online multiplayer videos, whether it be Battlefield or Call of Duty or whatever, you will see how laggy a lot of my videos are, and it's because I got terrible internet connection. So, a lot of these Atari 2700 games that are really highly skill-based, where you can't really miss anything, or you know, you can't really move too far or else you'll get blown up or crash into something, it was basically unplayable for me. Retro Classics is unfortunately unplayable for me personally. But you know what, even if I still had really great internet, it's not right. It's not right that people with bad internet shouldn't find these games accessible for them to play. You should be able to still download them, or instead of having like a 300 megabyte hub, make it like a 5 gigabyte collection that you update over time. You update regularly every time a new game comes to it. You know, so you know, maybe it'll be like 6 gigabytes, 7 gigabytes, whatever. But it beats having like a really tiny megabyte hub with just cloud service shit, you know, and that it really sucks. There are, you know, some cool things like community challenges. You can get a high score and then you could set that challenge for other people to try to beat. You know, there are community challenges, there are achievements, you know, there are kind of like stickers that you can unlock with your points and stuff, and like it's all right, I guess. It's cool, but for me, it just doesn't work, and I couldn't bring myself to play it for definitely no more than an hour. I would give Retro Classics, to be honest with you, like a 5 out of 10. Like I am removing that many points just because of the fact that it's basically unplayable for me personally, which sucks. That was a bummer, okay, because I was really looking forward to it, like right before I had gotten Game Pass and I heard about it. I'm like, oh my god, like I'm gonna play, I want to be playing this for a long time. And I find out you can't play any of them natively. I'm like, Screw you. Screw you, Xbox. Fuck. Anyway, guys, that was Retro Classics. I know they're planning, or at least maybe they already have, but I thought I heard them releasing some PS1 games on there too. So it'll probably be worth it more and more as the years go by or as the months go by. It'll be worth it more and more to go back to it. But right now, it's for the vast majority of it is just old Atari games. I think there was like two MechWarrior games on it. I'm not sure how old those games are, so hopefully more and more newer games will go on that server. I don't want to call it compilation because you can't play the games natively. It's like it's a hub. It's a cloud service. It's a live service, cloud service type thing. So yeah, Retro Classics 5 out of 10. It's mediocre. It's okay at best, I guess. And it could have been good or even great if you could play all the games natively, you know. But oh well. Oh well. The third game is a really interesting game that has great concepts but kind of flawed on execution, and that is a game called The Alters. And this is a sci-fi survival game where you play as a guy named Jan Dolsky, who crash lands on this hostile planet. There's no like enemies to fight. There are like these weird bubble anomalies that can damage you by radiating you. But aside from that, there's no actual enemies, but it's a hostile planet because of a sun. The sun gets closer and closer after each day passes. And so you find this energy called Rapidium, and you have this base. You're the sole survivor. All your people are dead. Your captain is dead. And so you take control of this base by yourself initially. You do end up getting a hold of a couple of people back home, including your ex-girlfriend, and they basically instruct you to use this Rapidium to clone yourself and make duplicates of yourselves. Now, what's really interesting and what's really mind-blowing about this game, conceptually anyway, is that when you create duplicates of yourself, you also create alternative memories for that clone. So, like, the regular Yandelsky, he broke up with his girlfriend. He didn't get to go to college, or he didn't get a degree. He didn't do this or that. But your clones remember different memories, and you have conversations with your clones filling gaps about like what could have been. It really caught my imagination, The Alters. It's a very imaginative video game. And of course, you have to take care of these alters. You gotta make sure they're well housed. You gotta feed them. You gotta make sure you got the right resources to survive magnetic storms. You gotta have radiation filters. And you gotta do this and that. And you basically, during the daytime, you have to go outside and you have to mine materials. You can create mining outposts. You can mine different materials, mine organics, mine minerals, and that takes up time. That actually speeds up time when you do it. So you can only be outside until nighttime or, late evening when radiation from the sun seeps out and damages you, and then you got to spend the rest of the night indoors. You can spend time with your alters at night or even evening. You can watch movies with them. Over time, in your journey or in your exploration, you find collectibles, his personal items scattered throughout, and like some of them are like movies, and some of them are like pieces of clothing or gifts that you can give to alters to increase their motivation or increase their morale, and ultimately keep them from trying to revolt. Because your alters can actually give you a game over by basically rebelling against you, which is funny. It's a really great idea. The problem I have with the alters is that the gameplay itself, aside from the resource management, because I really like the gameplay when it comes to like building your ship and like placing which rooms intersect with other rooms. It's kind of like the base building from XCOM. You know what I mean? Between alien fights, you build your base in XCOM. It's kind of the same thing here. But the more I played the altars, the more repetitive going outside and trying to dodge all the weird, annoying anomalies that only get worse as the game progresses. It gets more and more annoying as the game progresses. And I'm just not a fan of the gameplay. It kind of reminds me of like Death Stranding, except you're not like falling over and breaking shit. But it kind of reminds me of like Death Stranding, where you gotta like scale cliffs and stuff, and that uses up energy from your suit, and you gotta make fucking batteries for your suit, and I don't know. It's just the gameplay got old for me. I love the story. I love the dialogue. I love the voice acting. Alex Jordan, especially. In my opinion, Alex Jordan deserves to win Best Performance at the Game Awards for portraying all these different versions of Yandelsky, who have all their different personalities too. There's like this kind of like logical scientist who he doesn't really have a lot of them. I mean, he has emotion, but he suppresses it. And then you have this refiner. He comes off as like a hippie. And then you have this like smart ass technician who's kind of an asshole. You have like 10 different types of altars. I think the problem I have with the altars is that it's more of a survival game than a strategy game. No altars can die, and you can only have a limited amount. You can only have like four, or no, I think you can only have like five altars per playthrough, and there's 10 total. So and you need two of them. Two of them are actually essential to progress through the game, the technician and the scientist. And so basically, you have to play through the game 3 times to get the full story. And I'm just like, I don't want to have to play through this 3 times. I wish that, like, once I have finished with an Alter's quest line, that they could, like, I don't know, die. I know it's a bad thing to say, but can I, like, let Alters die so I can make more and, like, experience their stories? But then again, the game also runs on a timer, so maybe it probably wouldn't even be possible, because the game basically has a 90-day time limit. Yes, the whole game is a giant time limit, which I hate. I hate that. So yeah, it's more of a survival game than a strategy game. There are 3 different acts. Each act is about 30 days long. By the end of the second act, I wasn't enjoying the game anymore, because not only were things becoming more and more frustrating and annoying, but also I have to spoil it. I have to, because it is such a big criticism. They made a rebellion unavoidable. One of the characters rebels, and it's story related. So you're telling me that it's okay for that character to rebel, but under no circumstances is it okay for a rebellion to occur at any other point in the game? It makes no fucking sense to me. And the third act is so overblown. The third map, it's the smallest map, but it's also like the most confusing. It's also like the most convoluted. It's also like the most mazy, and you gotta be really specific on like how you place the power nodes, how they can connect from the mining outpost to the ship. And between all that my character rebelling me and me trying to win that character's back because we found the character's hideout, and having to deal with that, having to deal with magnetic storms every fucking 5 days now, as opposed to like 10 days. We gotta stay indoors all day long and have your fucking ship breakdown and shit, and deal with like anomaly bubbles at literally every inch, different types of anomalies that open up that can cause time dilations where it slows you down but speeds the fucking game up. It got so annoying that I could not bring myself to beat it. I did not finish the altars. I got really close. I can't finish it. And I don't know how far back I would have to play, maybe like at the end of Act 2, and like just absolutely make sure I'm really ready for Act 3 in order to adequately finish it. I love the game conceptually, I just don't love playing the game. I think that in almost every aspect the game shines except for the most important aspect, and that's the gameplay. Alex Jordan deserves best performance. But I don't think the game deserves any other award, or maybe even not even any other nomination. Alex Jordan, I hope he wins Best Performance at the Game Awards because he was the absolute best thing about this game. I would give the Altars from what I've played, I don't know if the ending is so good that I could bump it up to an 8, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 right now for the Altars. An 8 is actually what most people gave it, so maybe it is an 8. But I'm going to give it a 7. Just because Act 3 pisses me the fuck off. Yeah. Anyway, on to Gears of War Reloaded. This is the second remastered of Gears of War, the original from 2006. And, I gotta be honest with you guys. I was never really a big fan of the first Gears of War game. I always thought the story wasn't emotionally compelling like the stories in 2 and 3 were. And I also didn't like how the environment was all like gray and just dull looking. That was during the piss and shit era filter, where a lot of games that came out during that time, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, had this really drab, kind of like brownish yellow filter. Like games like Gears of War 1, games like Resistance, the Resistance trilogy, GTA 4, Fallout 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Resident Evil 5, had like this just like gross filter, just like yellowish, brown, poopy, peepy filter. I just hated that. There were, among other things that I didn't like about Gears of War 1, like Dom's AI. His AI was so bad in Gears of War 1. Gears of War 2 and 3, once I got to Gears of War 2, I'm like, this is so much better. I love the story much better. Campaign's longer. I think that the multiplayer was a little bit better, not by much. And of course, the ever so addicting Horde mode. I just thought Gears of War 2 was better in every way. Gears of War 3 I also loved more than Gears of War 1, but not quite as much as Gears of War 2. So Gears of War 1 was always my least favorite of the original trilogy. And, they keep remastering Gears of War 1. And I'm just like, okay. Now, to be fair, everyone who owns the Ultimate Edition, which was the first remaster of Gears of War 1, gets this for free. This was mostly made because Microsoft had a deal with Sony for some reason that they would release Gears of War to PS5. And they did. I can restrain myself from calling it a cash grab because this is the first time Sony players can finally try Gears of War. Then again, if you wanted to play Gears of War all this time, you could have just gotten an Xbox 360 for like $50. And you could have just gotten the original Gears of War for like $5, so $55 total, and play it that way. But whatever. I haven't played the multiplayer yet because I do need more Game Pass. I need more Xbox Live, to play the multiplayer half of it. But I had just beaten the campaign. And I gotta say, visually, it looks great. It's the best Gears of War has ever looked. They toned down the piss and shit filter. They made everything look better. I mean, it looks like Ultimate Edition, but slightly better. Not by much. The problem I have with Gears of War Reloaded, they didn't address the fundamental flaws of Gears of War 1. They didn't address the fact that Dom's AI is still fucking brain dead. He will still run in place. He will still stand around and not do anything while locusts shoot him and down him. He often doesn't take cover. He often just runs in front of turrets and gets himself killed. And it is still as jarring as it was nearly 2 decades ago. And I'm just like, could they not have done anything to fix this? Is this just in the game's code that they can't at least improve this? Like, the partner AI is so busted. I knew that trying to play it any harder than normal difficulty would be a disaster. Like, even on just hardcore mode, trying to beat Rom by myself at the end is hard enough because he just doesn't do anything. So yeah, they did not address the partner AI. That is still... I know you could tell me, well, Darian, you're supposed to play in co-op. That's how Gears of War is meant to be played. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you can still assess it from a single player point of view. I mean, fuck. Like, it's not like it's co-op only like, one of Hazelight's games. And I don't have Xbox Live, so... And I also only have one working Xbox controller, so even if I had someone to play with, I couldn't play split screen. So I'm alone. I found this to be buggier than any previous Gears of War 1 versions. Enemies will run back and forth between cover. Enemies will get stuck behind cover or between cover. Enemy bodies will float. If you shoot someone with like a shotgun and they get blown in half, sometimes their limbs will be like floating 5 feet in the air. Sometimes bodies will just disappear, just like disappear right out of nowhere in front of your very eyes. They just disappear. I would have preferred it if they had just like faded, but instead they just like plop. It's out of the game. It was just a buggier experience. Another problem I have with it, and this is a problem I've always had with Gears of War 1, were the Theron guards and their fucking torque bows. I swear to God, these guys have always had aimbot. Like, they would always hit you with a torque bolt. Like, even if you're in cover, sometimes they'll like hit the tip of your head. You'd be like, haha, I got you. Hit scanning sons of bitches. And on hardcore, not just on insane, but on hardcore, that's an insta-kill. So this is a problem I always had with Gears of War 1, is the fucking torque bow enemies are way too accurate. Even when you're like dodging all over the place, doing fucking side rolls and forward rolls, they will hit you. Those bolts home on you. And it kills you. And it makes the game feel a little on the artificially difficult side. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do, Especially when you are trying to work with a dumb shit AI. I still enjoy it. It's still fine. It's still good. It's still more of the same Gears of War 1. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't have enjoyed Gears of War 2 and 3 remasters instead. Please remaster 2 and 3 for once. For fuck's sake. This is the second remastered of Gears of War 1. Remaster fucking Gears of War 2 and 3? It's like they think no one likes those games. I do know that some still prefer Gears of War 1 because it was like the grittiest one, but Gears of War 2, I mean, come on, fucking horde mode, longer campaign, Dom's story arc with his wife, like, it's It's one of those sequels that I always consider better in every fucking way. So please, Remaster 2, give it the same treatment. No, give it a better treatment than what you gave Reloaded. Okay? Because this turned out visually great, but technically buggy. So, yeah, do better for Gears of War 2 and 3 Remastered, please. Oh my God, this is probably the longest Game Pass review episode. I just had a lot to say about these four games, I guess. I would give Gears of War Reloaded, honestly, a 7 out of 10. Same with the Alters. The Ultimate Edition, I give an 8 out of 10. The original Gears of War 1, 8 out of 10. I don't think it's the 10 out of 10 that a lot of critics gave it. To me, that game was always an 8, so Reloaded has to be a 7. And of course, it also includes the act from the extra act, or whatever you call it, chapter from the Ultimate Edition that wasn't originally in the 360 version. So yeah, that is 1 9, 2 7s, and a 5, averaging out to a 7 out of 10. Anyway, coming up, I traded in RoboCop, Unfinished Business, and Mafia: The Old Country, two games that I had platinumed. I also traded in Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, and I got like 43 store credit at GameStop, and I used that money to buy a used copy of Monster Hunter Wilds. I am also interested in playing Lies of P, which is about to be removed from PS Plus, the Essentials. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to buy a month of PS Plus, probably today, and I'll download Lies of P, and I think I'm gonna play Monster Hunter Wilds first, and play a little bit by myself, and then play some with other people with PS Plus. And I'm probably gonna give you a thoughts video on Monster Hunter Wilds mid-September, and then maybe if I die enough in Lies of P, which I probably will because I suck more and more at Souls-likes as the days go by, I will give you a funny death montage for Lies of P. Lies of Pee. That'll probably be like early October. And then I'll give you a Halloween special towards the end of October. So stay tuned. Sorry this video is so fucking long. I'll stop talking now. But yeah, until then, thank you for watching.